Vi, Talon, and Pantheon.
Talon
Talon being
jungle.
mid. No, no,
Oh,
no.
okay. I
Talon
was
mid.
like, whoa. All right, Talon jungle, interesting. No, okay. So Talon mid, Vi jungle, and then Pantheon is jungle or top.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. He's jungle.
Okay. So those are your three. What are your? So those are your three champs that you try to go to no matter what. Um, are you comfortable in other roles, or do you dodge when you get other roles? What's your situation there?
I play everything at least a little bit except for support.
Okay, that's good. So when you get support, do you play it anyway? Like, what do you usually
Yeah.
grab?
Um,
Just try to fit with the
Thresh
team.
or Leona if I can.
Okay, cool. All right. So looking at just the jungle, your picks are Vi and Pantheon.
Yep.
The right away, I'm gonna just you already know this probably. They're not not tier one picks right now. They're Vi's probably solid
Yeah,
tier
not at the
two.
moment.
Pantheon's I would say pretty low on the spectrum. Tier three, tier four. He's really suffering versus the Cinderhulk junglers. Um, but I mean, he can make his impact on solo queue. So he's by no means bad. He's just not gonna give you the optimal results if you're going for strictly climbing.
Yep.
Um, what are your goals as a player? So looking at are you trying to become challenger and play with a great team? Are you just enjoying the game and like enjoying the competition, playing for fun, seeing where you can go, or what?
I don't want to join like a team or anything. Like I don't have dreams like that, but I don't know. I'd like to see improvement for just from like season to season,
Yeah, so
or
you
at
feel
least
like
like
you've
the
plateaued.
yeah,
Okay, no, that's totally normal. I think most of us feel that way after a period of time, especially if you don't know where your mistakes are, and that's one of the biggest issues.
yeah.
Um,
Like
yeah, I've seen
as
that
outlined in
everywhere.
this video, my like worst thing is like rotating or knowing where to go. Like I like playing jungle, but I don't know where to be all the time,
Okay,
as you'll see in this video, because it's like me running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So
okay, so we're gonna watch this a little bit. I have a lot to say about that, but we'll watch a little bit before we get into that
no,
too
dude,
far.
it's bad.
That's fine. No, that's cool. That's why we're here, right? Is because
Yeah.
you have things to work on.
Oh, at
Um,
least it's a loss too. So like, there's gonna be definite points to point out.
this is a loss, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, that's good. No, that's actually good. Um, okay, so first of all, you need to know what you're looking at on your team before you even go into the game. So we
Yep.
clearly know that Thresh is not a support player. Like, there's no way in hell. His name's Fearless Jesus, right? So
Yeah.
he
He
didn't
actually
get
wanted jungle.
he wanted Jungle Yi. Yeah, no, for sure. Um, that whenever I have a player like that on my team, personally, I've seen that it has higher success rate to just give it to him, right? I mean, that's me.
Yeah.
If you're second pick, you have a choice of your second role, right? Like you can pick your second best role, and you can, still have an impact. What to do better than probably he does when he only plays one champion.
Yep.
Um, my advice would be give it to them. That didn't happen this game. That's just an aside.
Yep.
Another thing to notice is your Yasuo has Ignite. That's something you might not be aware of just playing the game. I mean, usually, I've had times where I've personally had this happen. I've had times where I've seen top level players do this where they're like, wait, Yasuo has Ignite like halfway through the game. They think he has heal or barrier, like or exhaust.
Yep.
Like any of the three better summoners that you're supposed to have is yeah, Yasuo. But
Yeah.
um,
So against Zed, should he typically have taken exhaust?
always, I would say every single game I would take exhaust as Yasuo. Like um, unless the jungler's AP slash Cinderhulk and the mid is AP slash Cinderhulk, and their AD carry isn't Vayne, I
Yep.
would say you want exhaust. The just guy is so good on Yasuo. I mean, there's no way for them to win trades or defend against your all-ins because the whole point of Yasuo is you can destroy people in the elongated trades, but once it gets into the you're all in, it's you have to kill them before they kill you. That's the whole problem
Yeah.
with Yasuo is they'll kill you first if they CC you at all. Um, so having exhaust circumvents that issue. All right,
Yep.
moving on. You're not the Yasuo, so let's watch a little bit of the game. But you need to keep that in mind, knowing that you can gank from mid lane. Usually, Yasuo is a dead lane. You can't gank for it, especially versus Fizz. But because he has Ignite, Fizz is a totally gankable target. Fizz was the mid lane, right? I actually didn't look. We'll see in a
Zed
moment.
was the mid lane. Fizz is jungle.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, against the Zed, even more so. You can kill him way easier than Fizz. Um,
Yeah.
he's gonna, that Yasuo is gonna have a difficult time versus Zed too. You can predict that Zed's gonna play aggressive on him, especially early game, which makes
Yep.
it actually a really good target to apply pressure to, considering he has the Ignite. If you had the
Yeah.
exhaust as well, actually, you could apply a lot of pressure there because it's Zed.
Yeah, I didn't gank early, like at all for him at least,
Yeah, I
which
would say
is kind
this.
of like a bad point,
Yeah.
which he even pointed out very aggressively.
Oh, okay. So you raged a little bit. That's okay. Um, Yeah, but keeping that in mind for the Yasuo, knowing that Yasuo is going to get bullied in lane also means
Yep.
that Yasuo is able to be ganked for, especially when it's something like Zed, who's going to be likely shadowing forward for harassment or for pushing power, especially when you're not at like the top level. They're going to make mistakes like that. You have to be aware.
Yep.
Um,
I don't know. I just
the
kind of gave him his credit and assumed that like if I ganked, he would just W away, especially with my Q being like the main thing to go in.
Yeah, giving too much respect to players is a really common mistake, and I would say especially at low diamond. Like you're now diamond, you're at the second highest tier, well, third highest tier, whatever. Um, you're one of the highest echelons of the game. You start to
Yep.
give people a lot of credit. That's a really common issue. Is they start just respecting everything. Like, oh, there's no way they would make this play if they didn't have flash. There's no way they would W forward as Zed for harass and lane. When realistically, you should just always just make the intelligent play, regardless of whether or not try to get the information prior, but do what you can.
All right.
All right, so just to show the start here, um, Lucian Thresh, just as a side note, I
Yep.
would almost always give this lane Krugs.
Oh, okay.
That's just me.
Yep.
The top players I think would mostly give this lane Krugs because Lucian Thresh can just punish almost any lane in the game. If they get
Yep.
early level 2, if Thresh has level 2 walking into lane has hook, they can like force a back. They can pressure really hard. They might get a kill if like the bot lane makes a mistake. Giving them that level 2 advantage is really big. And
Okay.
Krugs on Vi isn't really it's not a necessity to clear the jungle. You're a healthy jungler. You have your passive shield. You have the ability to clear jungle without being near death. So it's not like you need it.
Yep.
Um, you know,
I don't know. I
it,
just have a bad habit of starting bot side. Like I don't know
yeah,
if there's like I don't know what the optimal time to start top or bottom is
yeah.
like
It's
necessarily.
really bot lane dependent a lot of the time. If your bot lane can take advantage of the level 2, then I give it to them. Is usually my personal uh, indicator. The
All right.
I usually for Vi also, especially on Vi, you're really like blue is not a necessity for you to clear the jungle. The fact that it's expiring early isn't going to kill your jungle.
Yep.
If you're looking at something like Nunu or a jungler Udi or something that really runs out of mana early in the game and can't clear nearly as fast without the blue buff, you should consider always starting red.
Yep.
Vi, you can totally start Gromp. Gromp buff's awesome, and then you can go blue. And if you're nervous, you can go straight to red. If you're comfortable, you just want to farm it out. You don't think there's pressure. You farm your whole jungle down, and then you end up with backing with red buff, or not backing with backing, going and getting red buff super late with your jungle item, and then ganking with your fresh red, which is really effective.
Yep.
Yep. So that's the what I would recommend there. That I think that
All
would
right.
have helped this game a lot because bot lane would have had a lot of pressure. Also, you'd be cushioning the Thresh's play a little bit because
So if I'm
we can
feeling
assume he's a
safe,
little bit weak.
if I'm feeling safe after I've cleared my first buff, should I go back and get the jungle item before getting the second one and
If
then
you
ganking
if
with
you
that?
don't think they're going to invade you, yeah. If you're against a high pressure enemy jungler, like Lee Sin or like Nunu, if it's a good Nunu, some Nunus just like to farm all day in their own jungle. But if it's a Nunu, if it's a Lee Sin, um, to some extent, it depends on if you can duel the enemy jungler. Obviously, if the enemy jungler can outduel you, you want to get your buff as soon as possible because you don't want them to end up taking it and then being ahead of you and then just punishing you in your jungle all game.
Mhm.
What you want to end up doing is you want to back. You get level 2.5 or 3. You can get 3 too. If you want to if you're on the other side, if you're starting blue, Gromp blue, wolves, scuttle, that's a good side clear. On the red side, you can actually get 3 really easily um, by getting the scuttle. But you'll have just enough gold when you back. It's easier on the bottoms or when you're on the red side because you'll have more gold because of raptors.
All right.
But you'll get your jungle item. You'll be able to go to your red buff or your blue buff late, depending on what jungler you are, and that gives you an extended buff. So you need to make sure that you're aware of that, especially red buff. I mean, the red buff's a huge deal, especially on Vi. You can go gank middle you can gank middle. You can get 2 to 3 ganks off with that red buff instead of 1 to 2, which is the big deal, right? It allows you
Yeah.
a whole extra gank of pressure because that red buff really makes or breaks ganks a lot of the time. All right, so continuing on, the you take the Gromps and then red, and then do you do a full clear? Is that what you do, or do you try to go for a
Yeah,
gank with the red?
like with Vi, I don't know. Like Vi's a pretty healthy jungler, especially with red. So
Yeah.
like using their passive shield and stuff like that, I just cleared the entire thing. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I did.
Okay. Yeah, the Cass vs Shen matchup is not one I'm entirely familiar with. Um, I mean, it's just not one you see every day. But I would assume Shen wins that. I mean, Cassio can outscales massively, but early game,
Yeah,
I think Shen would actually bully Cassio really hard.
I think
Um,
she gets like first or second blood on him.
oh, well, if she kills him, then it's all over for Cass's lane. I
Yeah,
think
and
Cass just
then
continues
after,
to punish him repeatedly.
yeah, Cass took TP as well. So that,
That's good. She's playing top lane.
yeah,
That's surprising, but good.
but I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna blame her, but I don't think she used it like intelligently once or like
Oh,
in
totally.
any way that would give us any of an advantage at all. She would
Yeah.
teleport like after he had already ulted or just ulted, assuming people were gonna go somewhere,
First
and
blood
then
at
they
three
wouldn't go there.
minutes. Okay, so you know top lane won.
Yeah,
Right now, top lane should never be a gank target ever, because
yeah,
in under no circumstance do you need a gank now. The top lane just solo killed, right? The
yeah,
only time that you should ever go back is if things start going horribly.
yeah, or for like a
Yasuo is
counter gank or
shoving.
something.
Right now, you should know they're ganking Yasuo, right?
Okay.
Like their jungler was Fizz, right? Yeah, as soon as he gets red
Yeah,
buff,
he's
he's
fist.
walking mid. Like he's gonna pressure that lane. Look at Yasuo's positioning right here. He's so far up. He's past the wall.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to harass Zed under tower, which is I mean is just super greedy to begin with. But I guess he has ignite, so he thinks that there's kill potential. Um, and bot lane right now, they're getting pushed into their turret, which I mean, the level advantage could definitely help, especially since I saw Sona, which I mean Thresh has a ton of kill potential on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So Lucian called SS at 3 minutes on the roaming Sivir.
Yeah, and as you predicted, Fizz ganked mid, cast teleported to a minion, I
Yeah,
think.
which turned out to work, which is strange, but hey, at least Cassio had his eyes open.
Yeah.
The Yasuo didn't even get low, actually, so that gank went horrible for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you know Fizz is super behind. So as soon as you get this 4, I would immediately back and I would go buy it and get the jungle item and a long sword. And yeah, you can get jungle item, long sword. Yeah, that should be about right. I'm interested to see if you get boots here. Okay, no, you don't get boots. Good. I would definitely get the longsword because now you can just pressure into Fizz's jungle and make him uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This is a really good gank by Yasuo, actually. It's good. Bot lane just got a lot of pressure back. They should be really comfortable, especially since you guys have a lead. Now, what you should be doing is every one of your lanes has pressure. Every
Yeah.
single one. Oh, and they just fucking killed him. Okay. Every one of your lanes has pressure. Now,
Yeah.
you should not be touching your side of the jungle. First of all, you should be walking mid and soaking that farm.
Yeah.
Like, right now, there's 8 minions on this turret, I think. Like, roughly.
Yeah.
Zed shoved this super hard as soon as he saw Yasuo go bot. So, there's 8 minions on the turret. That's a little bit more important than golems, but I mean that's something that maybe you just didn't see. That's okay.
Yeah. I
Just
think
something to
I
keep in mind.
went there after golems, but yeah, like I definitely could have gotten them. Like I definitely should have soaked up mid.
Yeah, yeah, right here. Look at this giant wave. You might miss like 3 or 4, so you're gonna get there. The wave hit like perfect, so it saved a lot of the CS. So that's actually good. You got a little bit lucky there. I think there was like one minion just chilling. All right. So after this, I would immediately walk into Fizz's jungle. Yasuo's back. He has double buffs. This set is living the nightmare right now. Like
Yeah.
he's laning. You gotta keep in mind that Yasuo is your win condition here, right? Yasuo and Cass are actually now that Cass is a solo kill. Like your bot lane is going to be irrelevant to the victory of this game most likely. Um, you have to really keep in mind your win conditions as a team. So you have 2 just massive hyper carries on your team and a pretty decent front line and CC chain with Vi slash Thresh. This is a good gank. I would flash auto E. Yeah, okay. Good. That was a good gank. Counter gank. It was a little bit awkward because he was in the bush invisible when he jumped on his pole, but no big deal.
Yeah.
I would walk in and take his raptors right now.
Yeah.
Raptors on Fizz is so important. Well, actually, against any jungler in the whole world, you want to take those Raptors, just the big Raptor, or just the small Raptor. You take one or the other. If you have Smite, you take the big one. If you don't have Smite, you take the three little ones, and you end up
Why
denying
though? Like, what's is like
because it
the
takes two
small ones worth
seconds.
more experience or?
They're worth half the camp. So they're worth half the camp's gold, which is most of the reason you kill Raptors. They don't give a lot of XP.
Yep.
They're worth like 10 gold each, I think. And the big one's only worth like, 25, 30 scales, whatever.
Right.
The only reason you ever kill that camp is to smite the big one and then, or for gold. So unless he's smiting it on cooldown, which I mean, your smite's on cooldown too, like he wants to smite during ganks. Fizz is a really high pressure jungler. He doesn't want to be smiting that raptor very often. He's just never going to clear that camp. And if he does, he's wasting a ton of time doing it and getting almost nothing out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a really undervalued punish that you can do every time the enemy jungler makes a mistake. So if they make a mistake, go kill little raptors. It would take you like one auto and an E on each of the little ones. That's it. It
Yeah.
takes 2 seconds. So I mean, they're just incredibly easy. It's very little input, very high punish. He got massively outplayed right there. Now, you went to your golems instinctively, I think just sort of on autopilot, and I think that was a pretty huge mistake,
Okay.
considering how much pressure there is on this entire map. So it's 7:35. Let's go back a few seconds here just to see. So like, okay, from base, you made the decision, right? Let's
Yep.
see. I want to get this bar to go away. Hold on, so I can see the mini map. The second you leave bot lane, right, you made your decision, right? You made your decision at 7:02 all the way from base. You're not watching the lanes, or you're only watching the lanes, right? You're watching the lanes happen. You're not reacting to it.
Okay.
Like this decision is too set in stone. You've made it way early. You're walking to those golems. You want that 50 gold. The Right now, what you should be looking at instead is middle has no minions and yet they're contesting each other. They're just like bull rushing each other with like absolutely nothing to work with. Um,
Okay.
which should tell you that this is like a high pressure lane, right? There's been
Yeah.
nonstop fighting in this lane. Yasuo outroamed this guy. He has ignite, which you don't know if it's up right now or not. If you do, then good for you. You know he's ignites up, but it's not normal for you to have that tracked. Um, you have brutalizer. Your gank is so strong right now, right? You just spiked. So
Yeah.
all you should be doing is which lane can I go Q and ult instantly? Because like, it's a free kill no matter where you go. You do so much damage with this power spike. You're a higher level than like every champion in this game. You're 2 levels on Fizz, and you're
Yep.
not using that to pressure lanes, which is a huge problem.
Yeah. I
Um,
don't usually invade either. Like, I don't know. Like at the beginning of the game, we had like no wards anywhere, so
I
I don't
wouldn't
know. Like,
invade
I'm
as
really
Vi very
hesitant to
often.
like do anything or like counter jungle.
Yeah, I wouldn't invade early, like level one very often as Vi. But once you get a long sword or some AD actually on your champion, especially if you're ahead in levels, because Vi's levels on her Q just are crazy. You can really start to punish enemy junglers. Like, let's say you walk into that Raptor, or well, it's warded right now. Let's say you walk into, uh, it's 7:02, right? Yeah,
Yep.
to blue buff right now. You just walk to blue buff. Because he went Gromp blue. So you walk to blue at like 8:40, because that's when it's going to respawn, roughly, depending on how fast he killed it and how
Yep.
good his leash was. Um, right now, you can easily go mid or bot, apply pressure, show yourself for all that matters, just to apply pressure, and then go kill Scuttle and walk to blue buff. It's a really smooth transition that has nothing to do with golems, right? You want to
Yeah.
go. Scuttle is really important right now because it just protects your bot lane for a minute and a half. Period. It's just a ward, and it's really strong. I noticed that you haven't killed it yet, which is a mistake I think in itself.
Yep.
But I think there's a much higher value on Scuttle over golems like every time. You do get big jungle camp at bonus gold for killing Scuttle Crab. It's important to note. You get that 30 extra gold.
Yep.
So
And
I
you
mean,
get the vision off it as well.
yeah. Plus you get the vision and the movement speed, yada yada. But uh, yeah, you're aware of the Scuttle Crab mechanic with its AD armor and MR, right?
Uh, I guess not. Like, just explain it.
Okay, so Scuttle Crab, usually the reason not top level players, I don't want to say low level players, you're diamond, it's not bad, or diamond to MMR at least. The Players seem to just not realize that Scuttle Crab has a built-in mechanic that if you stun it at all, its MR drops from 60 to 10.
Okay.
Armor and MR, sorry, which makes it 100 times easier to kill. So all you do is Q it as Vi, and then it just takes a few punches. It's really, really
Wait,
fast.
but you said stun though. Like, do you mean
Knock
like
up,
what?
stun, hard CC, not
Oh, okay.
slowing. Slows don't count, silences don't count, but like stuns, knockups, roots don't count. I don't think. But anything that displaces
Yeah,
the
I've
crab.
definitely
So
seen it
Gragas
multiple
E,
times, but I wasn't sure like exactly what set that off.
yeah, it's any type of stun. So your Q as Vi will make that crab die really quickly because there's no armor. You'll kill it. Especially with brutalizer, you'll be doing true damage to the crab. So you'll kill
Yep.
it in a few hits. Especially if no one's killed it yet, because it scales when it dies. Um, okay, so moving forward, you didn't go mid or bot, but right now you can
No.
see, right? You can see that that would have been, the proper line of play because you would go to Scuttle Crab right now. Let's say you're even headed there. Let's just pretend that your pathing's going there. You see
Yep.
mid happening. I wouldn't reroute there right now. You're really far away, right? Ultimately, is your champion's kind of far. If you had rooted through middle, like if the pathing had taken you the other way, walking middle I think would be okay because your champion would be here if instead of down here.
Yep.
But yeah, so okay, right now you just gotta forget about mid lane, forget about golems, but keep in mind where Fizz is gonna be, right? You want to play that second level of mind game, um, and then if you had been doing that, you would already be 10 yards further up and been able to help with this counter gank really easily, right?
Yep.
You would be able to actually punish the Sivir a little bit, I bet, because with your chilling smite and then whatever Thresh had left. I'm not sure if he has hook. I assume he has hook. Okay, but with those deaths, going to golems is totally fine. It's just important to consider what the alternative routes of play could have been, right? Knowing you were 2 levels up on Fizz is really important. Now, Fizz didn't actually get ahead at all on that. Fizz got none of that XP, got no impact. You're still ahead of their jungler. You just have to keep an eye on how your lanes are trading now.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, a lot of people make the mistake that once they start falling behind, or their lanes start falling behind, they don't realize that they're actually ahead of the enemy jungler. That's a whole nother uh, exchange you have to keep in mind. 2v2s, you'd win middle totally.
All right.
So that would
But
happen.
yeah, I
You
was
should.
definitely worried about him like counter ganking or doing something.
I would have said right there. You should have just trinket warded, queued over the wall, and ulted him. Because Yasuo can follow up ult onto your ult,
Yep.
and that would have given you a lot of CC onto Zed. At the very least, you're forcing him to flash. I don't think it's possible he lives through that.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure like Cassio just like teleported to bot like their tri brush, like our team's tri brush.
Yeah,
So
interesting
that's what I was
play.
saying. Like after this point, it just all goes to shit. And then I tried to gank top. I don't know why because he's Shen. I'm
He
like,
said free farm top 5. I bet you were just going to pick up the wave. Yeah, going to pick up this wave isn't bad. It's a free creeps. Um, I, I'm gonna harp on this a little bit, but I think that here this gank might not be ideal. I hope you don't ult. Okay, good. Yeah, Scuttle Crab is right now. Like now's the time for Scuttle. You want to scuttle this bitch so hard. The Scuttle is so strong because it allows Cassio to push then. Because you see she's warded the tri brush, but she still can't push up in her lane and punish Shen because she's afraid of that. So
yeah, watch me
this is
knock you
good.
once.
Yeah, see, no, but look how many punches it takes you. Whereas if you had queued it, you would have killed it a lot faster.
Yeah,
But that's
but
okay.
yeah,
You didn't
I'm
know.
pretty sure I
Now you
wanted to
know,
do
right?
something sneaky on Shen, and then
Shen just
Yasuo
seems
was gonna
really
gank.
tanky right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
Shen. That
and
flash
then
was interesting. No, but okay. So he's able to punish this Fizz gank a little bit at least. Um, although,
mhm.
yeah, this is okay, but you're gonna end up trading. I don't know if that's necessarily worth it because I think you ended up giving red buff to Zed, right?
Yeah,
Because Fizz had it after killing Yasuo. That's okay. I think that yeah, you could have gotten there sooner if you didn't try
yeah,
that sneaky stuff on Shen. It
yeah.
also plays a little bit. You have to keep in mind how your Yasuo is perceiving these behaviors. You didn't ping actually, right? I mean, I don't think you did on the top lane at all. So whenever you go for a gank, it's gonna sound really stupid, but this is me, pushing a thought into your head, right? Even if you've already
Yeah,
thought it, um, ping the I'm on my way ping. Okay,
yeah,
you have
like
no idea how much it helps, and it's not to help the lane you're ganking for, but more so to give insight onto your other lanes. Because imagine your Yasuo in this scenario. Let's fast forward just a little bit here. Imagine your Yasuo right here, and as you're walking down this river, Yasuo thinks he has your pressure, right? He
yep,
perceives you as being near his lane. Now,
okay,
if you doing the scuttle's okay, that's fine. Killed it a little bit faster, but the if when you go into that Baron pit and you jump over that wall, all that perceived pressure is now just it's gone, but he doesn't realize it. Like he in his mind, he might not be keeping live view on you, especially when he's getting ganked directly as you jump that wall. In
yeah,
his mind, you're by the scuttle crab speed boost. You're going to be there in 5 seconds. Flashing up towards you is a good idea. He doesn't even know your Q's on cooldown. But if you had pinged like the I'm on my way top, he might have a better understanding of which direction you were headed in and where your travel cooldowns have been used towards. Does that make sense?
yeah. That makes complete sense.
That's just something little that you can do that can help a whole lot. And it's not a direct impact. It's more of it helps everybody understand what's happening more, so there's no miscommunications. All right, I'm interested to see if you lose mid lane here. Is that I don't know if he has his Ghost Blade yet, but or I don't know if he's rushing Bork either. But I wish he would hit tab. Yeah, that red buff, those double buffs on Zed is really gonna hurt Yasuo here. Now, I would just be farming my jungle now because you're behind. Maybe try to
Mhm.
pressure bot lane, um, but I would definitely, as soon as your ult's up again, go back to Zed, right? Like, as
Yep,
soon as you can. You need to turn that lane around because Yasuo is one of your primary win conditions. And Yasuo also, Cassio can't carry versus Zed at this point. Once Zed gets ahead, Cassio's going to have a very hard time having a climate changing game. So you need to
yep,
make sure that Yasuo is up big. Uh, that's where most of my pressure would be at least. Now, the I would actually have waited just in that bush that you saw the ward in, because
okay,
well, actually you don't have scanner. If there was a scan, I didn't see if he scanned it or not. Um, if that ward lives, never mind. I thought you guys were gonna kill the ward, so yeah, I could be wrong. If you kill that ward, like let's say there's a scanner and you kill the ward, I really like the strategy of waiting in the bush, a lot, because they just think you run away from the ward that you've seen. This is a good
yep,
counter gank. That's fine. I would just leave now. You're not gonna get anything here. Or maybe. Yeah, no. The the Shen ult was good, but you also had to
yeah,
burn your flash here, which it hurts your pressure on mid lane,
yeah.
which
I stayed.
ultimately
I
is
don't know
your
why, and then I ulted Sona instead of fucking Sivir
yeah.
when I
Oh,
should have
this
just ulted Sivir.
yeah.
I
Man.
wasn't sure about the spell shield, so I'm like, hey, if we have a free kill on Sona,
No,
like,
I
should
think
go for
your
that.
ult was fine. I think staying period was the misplay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Plus
I think
Lucian had no mana and had nothing up, so
yeah. Neither did Thresh actually. He was also backing was definitely the play there, trying to force that just a little bit too hard. That's alright though. Sometimes you just force a little too hard. That's what just a game to game thing, especially with Shen ult, which isn't something you play against all the time. That's not something I would be worried about. I would just be more worried about the macro level play. The pressure that you're putting out on the enemy Fizz is just so low this game. I think that's what you like. The ultimate takeaway here is Fizz has just had a free game, right? I mean, he was behind 2 levels. You got kills in 3 of your lanes, and he was able to just farm his jungle and come back into the game without actually impacting any of them. Which now
yep.
he's going to have a really huge impact because he's hitting a spike.
Mhm.
That's the biggest deal so far. Now you need. I would immediately be warding Dragon right now because they're all missing. Mid's missing, bots missing. I'd say Drag's just gone, almost inarguably. But I would place the ward anyway just to know for sure, and take the timer. Also, if they didn't take Dragon, you know that's where they're going next. That's the obvious destination, the clear objective for their team now that they're ahead in bot and mid. And then they just all went top lane, which is, you should just be a dragon. Like as soon as you see three people go in this top lane,
Yeah.
the dragon is so free. I mean, look where you are right now. You're by this wraith. If you see this happen,
Mhm.
turn around. I mean, you're not gonna get here. Right?
Yeah.
It's gonna
Even
take you
Sona's
15
there, so
seconds.
yeah. Like,
It's gonna take you 15 seconds to get here, right? You know Shenel's down.
yeah.
We think his TP's down if he has it. He might not have TP actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, and we know that Fizz is up here. They're jungler. We know that Sona's up here, and we see Zed middle. And like, what's
Yep.
their AD carry gonna do? Stop you at dragon? There's no way,
Yeah,
right?
it's gonna take me the exact same time to get up there as it is to dragon, but
It
we
would
would
take you
have more
less time to
people
get
at
to
dragon.
dragon. Yeah, and it would take you less time to get to dragon, and it's a free objective.
Yep.
And it's really important to note that you're probably not going to get another dragon soon, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are behind significantly. You're running
Yeah.
two late game scaling hyper carries, and you're behind against really early game pressure champions. So instead of getting that 6% AD and AP is actually really huge on champions like Cassio and Yasuo, who are going to be scaling really hard into late game and are going to need that dragon buff. You're going to need everything they can get. But that's okay. Bot lane, could be doing a lot more than shoving here. There's not a lot you can do to control that. I think that the optimal behavior from bot lane here is just to go get ward coverage throughout their jungle. I mean, right
Yeah.
now, if you had, okay, actually, I don't know if it's going to screen share the paint. Is it screen sharing paint now?
Yep.
Okay, cool. That's not correct. Here, yeah, it's like on my other monitor or whatever. Okay, so right now, what your bot lane should be doing is getting let's put this in red, is placing a ward, is getting a ward coverage here. Like this is the control area, or the area in which you want control, right? Let's backspace that. Is that the shortcut? It's the shortcut for backspace. Fantastic. Okay, so right now you want control over this area. You want this dragon controlled because you didn't make the decision earlier, right? We have to accept that. We have to live with that decision. But it's just control this bot lane can be doing more to help control it in the future. So if you're this bot lane, a ward right here is really important, and a ward right here is really important. Now, you're not trying to make aggressive plays, and these are really aggressive wards, but you know the location in general of their team, and we're thinking like 10 seconds prior to this, right? Not right
Yep.
now, where Sona's already rotated bottom again. But if they were able to get control of these two spots, you automatically know if you have control of this side of your jungle. And if you have control here, and you have this wave pushed up, you can get dragon for almost free, right? It's very hard for them to pressure against that without making some incredibly sneaky play.
Yep.
So you want to keep that if you were this bot lane or if you had more control over this game, to give you a little bit more macro insight, having this control of this side of the jungle is really important. Not only for pressuring on these two camps, or three camps, rather, with Gromp, but for pressuring the dragon in particular. But yeah, that's a mistake that the bot lane's making that could help not only them, but help the entire team generate more of a lead here. Okay, so moving forward. So I assume this is where things start to go really poorly, right? I mean,
Yep.
they're starting to generate a lead on a really early game team. So that Q is really premature, especially against Shen. I would
Yeah,
just
and
apply
then
the
I
red buff.
ulted for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I assumed that Cass would like magically kill him somehow, but
It actually
obviously,
wouldn't have been that bad had you had Q, right? I mean, imagine a world in which instead of this Q happening, let's rewind a little bit. Okay, so imagine a world where you just let him fuck up here, right? Like you got to let the guy make the mistake. You're trying to immediately punish him as soon as possible, as if Cass is some kind of like top laner with CC, which is just not the case. Now Cass should ult here since you're here, but that's okay. He didn't. He's walking into this bush, or at least very nearby. This Q is just overkill.
yeah. I
Right
don't know.
now,
I assumed that like he would walk that close, ward into the bush, and then dash off.
yeah, which
But,
is
like, I
exactly
don't know.
why you want to save your Q though.
Okay.
because then you're able to follow his dash, at least with an amount of CC, and then
Yep.
ult him immediately. Um, so Cass is making him. Cass should be following up more, but spam pinging on the way is never BM, right? Like I've never been pissed at a jungler for pinging too much about on the way. I've never been like, God, this guy's ganking too hard. Like I've
Yeah.
never been mad about that. This guy is giving me too much information. I've never been mad. The only thing that like is annoying is if you're pinging like everywhere on the map. If you're pinging when you're there to gank, this guy could easily be in a more aggressive position.
Yep.
Now, to follow what I was saying earlier, what you want to be doing now is walk up to him and just red buff him. Like if this Cassio's following you here, you want to give him time to close this gap. So just
Mhm.
red buff him, and you force the either flash or the Q instantly. So with your Q, you've knocked him closer to this wall, first of all, which makes it easier for him.
Yep.
Second of all, you've delayed your red buff proc until right now, which is like a second and a half of extra. That's like a tick and a half.
Mhm.
That's a lot of slow, and who knows how much closer Cassio could be if you had saved the Q. Um, so you just apply the red buff, you force him to use his E away, and then you have the Q to follow him up here. Especially because he wouldn't be like this close to the wall, right? So in this alternate universe, he'd be further back.
Yep.
And then when you Q onto him, the Q isn't necessarily even for the CC. The Q is to make your ultimate have less of a travel time, right? That's
Mhm.
ultimately how you want to use it there. Is you want to get on top of Shen, so
Yep.
your ult is instant, so Cassio can catch up. So it's just important to note that using your Q preemptively isn't always the solution on Vi, especially when you have the red buff.
Okay.
Or and that same goes for Chilling Smite. You didn't have it there, but in similar ganks, if you have Chilling Smite, you can apply similar uh, methodology. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. If you don't follow something or you have like any type of counterpoints, so I'm more than happy to explain it or talk it through.
All right.
Um. Anyway, so looking, this is pretty much as we expected, right?
Yeah.
Your top lane ganks on Shen just are tough to begin with, but
Yep.
hey, you gave it a shot and it didn't work out. I'd recommend just never touching the Shen lane, almost ever. Just
Yeah.
focus your pressure elsewhere. I mean, you're Vi with a really aggressive bot lane and a super snowbally mid lane matchup. So focusing your efforts there is almost always going
Please
to
don't
be
tell me I
optimal.
go
Ooh, well, it was
in.
really
Oh, okay.
close. It was really close, and Thresh saved you, so it's all good. In a situation like that, oh my, Yasuo's dead. Okay,
Yeah. I don't know. Like they were all at Dragon. I don't know.
yeah, that was
I
a
could have
misplay
ganked,
by
but I
Yasuo.
blame him for that one. Like I'm actually just,
No, I think that
I
that's his
don't think
fault.
he should have been there at all
Yeah,
with
no, other players
three
make
event dragon.
mistakes, but I mean, there's ways to play around those mistakes, right? That was a huge one. But
Yeah.
let's say in a world where you know, God, I don't know. It's tough to justify that, but let's say in a world where you ping more aggressively on Dragon, maybe that guy
Mhm.
opens his eyes, right? I don't know. You didn't
Yeah.
ping on the way to Dragon at all, and you have to keep in mind that on the way ping leaves a marker for your team. I
Yep.
like, I, uh, I think something that I've noticed top players do that very few, anybody lower than Diamond One slash Master slash Challenger do, is they ping on the way wherever they want the Thresh Lantern, right?
Mhm.
Now that's like you wouldn't think that like that's not an uh, an understood method of communication, but you'd be very surprised how natural it is. Um, Threshes will instantly catch on most of the time. So if you're just like spam pinging on the way underneath this dragon right now,
Yep.
like this Thresh knows you're going in, right? Like this Thresh
Okay.
now knows you're going to try to steal this. Now he did the right play regardless, but there are a lot of Threshes that aren't going to throw this lantern. Okay, there's a
Yeah.
lot of Threshes that are just going to leave,
Yeah.
um, especially when you wait till the last second like you did, which is right now. If I'm Thresh, I'm like, okay, he's out, right? Like Vi's leaving.
Yeah. He's gonna
Um,
queue away.
yeah, he's gonna queue away, and then just last second you're like, fuck it, you just go in, and look, he instantly lanterns you, which is really good. But had you pinged, that makes that whole communication smoother.
Yep.
And maybe it saves Yasuo. Maybe Yasuo wakes up from his whatever he's doing, his daydream that he's in. The little things like that can make a bigger difference than you realize. The AD carries have had so little impact on this game. It's actually incredible.
But yeah, it pretty much like happens like this where we're either getting caught or like out rotated.
Yeah. Okay. Right now, you just want to be biding your time, pushing out the lanes. You're doing this right. Push out the lanes. Try to just get a grip on Baron control to make sure they don't end up doing that uh, at 20 minutes because they totally can with
Yeah,
Fizz and Shen tanking. And I mean, if they catch you without vision or they get picks, they can try to pressure Baron really early. Um, I don't think that it's the best decision for them, but it's something you want to be aware of.
yeah. I
Having
think
this
I
ward on their Raptors is really good by um, Yasuo, actually. That's one thing I think he's been doing really well.
yeah.
That's a ward I really like because it completely nullifies the Raptor buff, right? Instantly destroys the Raptor buff. That was really, really rough. But okay, oh, you didn't get him. I'd leave. I would leave right now because
Okay.
that Shen is gonna mess up whoever he jumps on with Zed, especially when Zed's huge. As soon as that Q misses and that ult goes, or yeah, as soon as the Q misses and the hook misses, specifically the hook, I think was the deciding
Yeah.
factor.
Cast
I would
ulted
just get
like
out.
hoping Zed was
Yeah,
gonna come up towards blue buff,
with the
and then
missed
just whiffed
castle
it
in
completely.
mind, I wouldn't leave after the castle. I would leave after the missed hook, personally,
All right.
knowing that you still had ult, because I think you still had enough CC and damage to kill Zed. Um, I want to stop and discuss your itemization for a second.
Okay.
Now, you went Warrior Black Cleaver, which I mean is a good solo queue build. Like it gives you the opportunity to carry. I need you to really consider how your team comp looks right now.
Okay.
Um, just take your team comp on just a completely objective point of view. Take away the skill element, take away everything, and just look at your team comp and tell me how you win this game. Right? Um,
Yeah.
you win this game through Yi and Cassio. There is no scenario in which it's like, oh yeah, Vi carried versus the Fizz Zed Shen. That's never fucking happened in the history of time, right? It's
Yeah.
never happened. The in this scenario, you have two hyper super duper carries that are probably two of the best scaling champions in the game, really up there. And you have zero tank line, right? Because you don't have a tank top laner.
Yeah.
Going full AD probably a mistake.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
should have went Cinder Hulk into like some sort of tanky item.
even Warrior. I mean, Warrior's even fine. I think I would almost always go Warrior on Vi for the early pressure. It's just better, I think, in most situations. I don't think it's unreasonable to switch to Cinder Hulk late game.
Okay.
Now, for right now, the Black Cleaver second though is the item that I think was the itemization mistake. Immediately, I think you were 2-1 whenever you got your phage components, right? Because you got phage components before phage and the rest of it.
Mhm.
Um, and then things started going bad, and you just continued to build damage. What I assume is to be on autopilot.
Yeah.
Now, if instead of that, you maybe diverted and you use that ruby crystal for a tank item, specifically in this type of situation, I would try to go for something like Randuin's. It's really strong versus Zed. Get a little bit off of him, especially since you're going to be on top of him anyway with your ult most of the time. It gives you a lot of control over the game, and it definitely ensures Sivir doesn't go anywhere. I wouldn't ever itemize MR versus team. They're just so attack speed and attack damage reliant with Fizz that
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about that too much. Now Randuin's I think is just the proper next item.
All right.
Uh, it the active disables Zed and Fizz, and we're just gonna pretend Sivir doesn't exist. And the armor helps you not be the victim of any Zed pressure, so you don't really have to worry when you're standing in the middle of the team fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be my recommendation as far as items. Now, also your boots are just an issue. You have level 1 boots at 17 minutes. That's something I would strongly advise against. I think boots 2 instantly after warrior, almost in every scenario. Movement speed is so important, especially on a jungler to be able to rotate around this map. I would debate mob boots in this game, especially early on in this game. Like if we were to rewind a little bit, we're at 17:53 right now. I have to remember that. But looking a little bit early on in this game, there were several opportunities where mobility boots would have come in a huge way with this game. So you
Yeah.
finish your warrior really early, um, because you ended up with the 2 kills. Let's find exactly when you finished it here. You didn't buy for a very long time. That's something you should also consider backing for the warrior a little bit earlier. But yeah,
All right.
whatever. Um, you want to get warrior really soon, but okay. So you die here. Okay, so you die here. You're 2-1. It's 6-4. You guys are ahead, and you built the phage components,
Yeah.
like I said earlier. Now, instead of this longsword or this ruby crystal, in this specific instance, I would say ditch the ruby crystal. I would have just
Okay.
gotten mobility boots, because
Right.
right now the name of the game is you're ahead of Fizz, your team has pressure, you're still winning, and their team has incredible snowball potential, and your team has incredible scaling. So the way to get you have to cross this gray area. You have to form a bridge with your bare hands to get you from early game to late game without getting fucked by Zed. And
Yep.
the way to do that is to just be everywhere. You want to be like just constantly making the decisions for them. You want them to be reactive in this game. If you let Zed be proactive, he's going to do exactly what happened in this game.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so I'll go back to forward. So early mobility boots, transitioning into tank once you start falling behind.
Okay.
Now, switch. Don't be afraid to switch out mobility boots late game either. Some people have this qualm that they're like, I don't want to switch my boots until sixth item. Dude, if Zed gets huge, get tabby. Like I don't care what's going on. You know, a lot of people like to make excuses, and I think that switching those boots as soon as possible is really important. I don't know what's going on. Can you still hear me and everything?
Yeah, everything's fine.
I'm gonna reload the page then.
All right.
YouTube's messing up. Stop loading there. Okay. Okay. So, does everything make sense so far? Do you agree with all that?
Yep.
Okay. Um, looking at timers, that's good. I would be focused more on red buff than blue buff right now. So if there's a situation where you have to decide between taking your red and losing your blue, or taking your blue and losing your red, which I mean is a very common decision in the late game, when you start falling behind, I think red buff is just way more important in this game.
Yep.
Uh, for obvious reasons. I mean, Zed's going to be able to use it more efficiently. Fizz is going to be able to use it more efficiently, and they don't really have a good blue buff user, right?
Yep.
Cassio's still pressuring this Shen, which leads me to believe that she's still really strong. Um, I wish I could see her items. I'm not sure
Yeah.
where she's at.
And that pink ward is still there. That's been there for like 10 minutes. So Fizz just like hasn't touched top at all.
He has been top a few times, but they usually went through river in those times. Uh, that's okay. The Okay, so right now, looking at Cassio, she has Seraphs and she's building her ally second. Um, she doesn't have any boots at all, which means that her positioning is abysmal and she's probably going to die here in a second. There's no way she lives through a gank. If anybody goes top, she's just dead. She moves at like 400 movement speed or something. 375. Top lane of one auto attack. It's funny.
Huh.
Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah, he is top.
He's going to top. He found the pink ward, and they let her back, which, I mean, whatever. Mistake on their end, but they definitely could have killed her if it. I think that. I don't know if you do this. I haven't seen you do it this game because they haven't placed a lot of pink wards.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the time when ganking as a jungler, if you're in a proper position for a gank, uh, it's not unreasonable to just walk past the pink ward and go back to it later.
Yeah, but I die here. I told that guy
Here?
to go back, and then I went in and did exactly what I told him not to do.
Yeah, that seems a little tilty. Mr.
I don't know. I'm
Q.
like at the same time I'm playing full EDVI, so I'm gonna get him, but he's like insanely fucking fed. So
Actually, you would have won that 100% if you had the Q. You would have destroyed him. It wouldn't even have been close. You would have had like 400 health left.
yeah,
Yeah, Lucian's not happy about it.
yeah. Well, rightfully so.
Yeah, I don't think he's wrong to be a little bit frustrated. I don't know if typing it's the right way to express that, but hey, you definitely could have won that though. I don't think that. I think it was good of you to know your limits as a DVI. I mean, honestly, your limit was you knew your limits. You just misplayed mechanically, which isn't something that's deplorable, right? Like I'm not ever gonna say that that's a mistake because it wasn't. The mistake was misplaying. It wasn't a bad decision. But that was a good catch on top lane. They managed to kill the raid boss, so that's solid. You can kill Sivir here. So
Okay.
Sivir could have totally died there. You have Chilling Smite. And you could have just chased her down. Like, you're way faster than her. It looks like she only has level 1 boots. Or she's just maybe really slow. At least you would have gotten her ultimate, which makes this next dragon that's coming up soon a lot easier. So I think that I would have pressured there a little bit harder. I would have played a little bit further up, but can't take them all. I think that your primary problem that I'm realizing is that you're not taking nearly enough opportunities as Vi. You're not utilizing like your how ahead you are optimally, right? You got
Yep.
Flash and Shen out there. That's fucking awesome. Okay, I can't believe that they flashed and Shen ulted. That guy doesn't know that you can E Vi ult apparently. The But yeah, no, I think you're not taking the opportunities that are there. So there's sort of like there's doors that are gaping open right there, and you just refuse to walk through them sometimes, um, just because I think that you're a little bit scared of making mistakes, especially at this point in the game. Um,
Yeah, where like I don't know if I get behind, like I take less risks, and I don't
yeah,
know.
I think that that's it's natural logic, but it's also flawed logic, right? When you're behind, if anything, you should be taking more risks, especially when you're behind versus a comp like this, where you're not going to come back by slow playing this game. They're just going to constantly drain you guys until you lose because you're not going to ever get a chance to scale. There's no gold going onto your champions.
Yep.
The um, I really like the thought process of we're behind, so let me take more risks that have high reward, right? So intelligent risks,
Mhm.
high EV plays, right? So
Yeah.
the if you're familiar with uh, any poker terms or high level like league analysis terms, like there's this term EV, right? Expected value. So like
Mhm.
what do you expect to gain from the play, and how much input is it going to take you opportunity cost wise? Um, so you want to take high EV plays that your value you're expected to win, like you're
Mhm.
still in the positives, but maybe you take the 65% play instead of the 90, right?
Yep.
You're still expected to work, but you're just hoping he doesn't have flash for your play, that
Yep.
kind of deal. Those are the plays you want to start to make, especially when you're behind against a comp like this. Um, it's also the game. You want to make the game more difficult for the opponent. So this is sort of a more philosophical understanding of League, but a game where they are making all the decisions is easy. I mean, we've all played that game where it's 15-1, and you just feel like, man, my team has such great teamwork this game. Like, Thresh is hitting
Yeah.
all his hooks. Like, we're all following up. We're taking all the turrets, and like they are just kind of like kneeling in front of us, and we're just taking it. Like everyone's had that game happen to them. And the
Yeah.
reason it's easy isn't because your team's good. I promise your team isn't better at that game than normal games. Your team's just as shitty. I promise. The what's happening is the enemy team is playing reactively, and they're letting you make all the decisions, so things are going the way you expect them to. And
Yep.
because you're able to take the 95% play and eke that little advantage instead of taking the high risk, low advantage play. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to try to punish them for taking those obvious plays and play around the obvious. You want to just be like, oh, they're obviously that Sona's alone right there because she's retarded, right? Like back to rewind a little bit. Like you're in this bush, right here, and this Sona is totally pickable. Like this is a lead. This is an advantage that you can gain for your team. Now, it
Mhm.
might not be the best advantage in the world. You wish that that was Zed face checking that bush, but you
Yep.
can't let your frustration and your need for large objectives blind you from seeing that this is a free kill, right?
Yeah.
So this Sona is walking towards this bush. You know Zed's bottom. I mean, what are the worst case scenarios right now,
I don't know.
right?
I'm just afraid that like even if one other person is gonna be there, like I'm gonna get shit stomped because they're so far ahead.
Well, it's really I kind of
Or if
understand what
that
you're
bush is
saying.
already warded.
Yeah, I can promise you that Sona's not going to walk towards that bush if it's already warded. I can
Yep.
promise you that. But what I can do is paint seems to have closed, so let me reopen it real quick. I'm gonna have to cross over my screenshot again. There. I need to learn the command for just doing the right monitor. Anyway, the right now in your situation, the Sona's walking towards you. Yeah, obviously. The She clearly doesn't know that this bush is warded. Like there's no way. She would have to be so dumb to walk towards this bush because right now you're in Q range, right? Your Q ends like here, and then like the hit would like knock her if she's moving at all in that direction.
Mhm.
So right, and also your alt. I mean, it's right here. So Also, you have to keep in mind that Yasuo's over here. His alt range is fucking humongous.
Yeah.
And if you hit anything on her, your Q does like, you know, this much of her health. It does like a fifth of her health, right?
Yep.
That's going to be massive. So a free pick on Sona right now is actually a bigger deal than you might think. I mean, Dragon's up soon, right? I mean, I'm not sure exactly. I think Dragon's up soon if I'm keeping proper mental timers. Um, and if Dragon's up soon, killing Sona really weakens their ward coverage over bot side, especially when you know she's been up here for a while. We know Zed's bottom, so there's not a large amount of burst coming your way. Fizz isn't really that big. Fizz is strong, but I mean, it's you and Yasuo could 2v2 Sona Fizz for sure. Especially if you've bursted down Sona.
Yeah.
You don't even necessarily. You only need to ult Sona if Yasuo is paying attention, but you know, we'll see. So I think the optimal play right now is wait right here, and at the very least test if it's warded. Right? If you're worried it's warded, just stand there for a minute. I mean, really, there's no one that can pick you right now. You have Q, Flash. I mean, like I said, you need to take this high risk play. So
Yeah.
Sona is moving this direction. You just wait and see. If you stand here, she's gonna turn away, 100%, because she sees you. She knows. But if
Yep.
she doesn't know, she's gonna walk all the way to here before she wards this bush. And if that happens, you better be pinging the shit out of her, because Yasuo can move right here, and as soon as he gets here, he's in alt range. Your ulti kills her, and free kill. In worst case scenario, like let's say you don't want to ult here, you're actually really concerned. She walks up to here, and you just Q her, and see if Yasuo responds. Just keep an eye on him. And if he continues walking away, he wants nothing to do with it. Okay, you just leave. Sona is not gonna punish you alone. You just walk away. You spooked Sona a little bit. You tried to make the play. It didn't happen, but at least your mind was there.
All right.
Okay. So does that all make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So it's the higher risk play, but it can be small advantages like this, and those can chain together. Especially in solo queue, where things tend to chain together on a regular basis. So now it's revealed that Sivir was top the whole time. Zed was bottom. We knew that before. We don't know where Fizz and everybody was, but uh, you know, even if you get something like a Shen ult out of that, it's a win. So you want to try to take what you can get.
All right. But yeah, they're taking Baron while we have 4 people bought.
Yeah, you guys really tunneled on the Zed. He's outplaying the shit out of your whole team, and that Baron's just gone.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even move towards it. Once this Baron goes, the game is pretty over.
Long gone.
I don't know about long gone. I think it was recoverable prior
As
to
soon
this.
as I walk here, they take it. I'm pretty sure they kill me. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I think you should live. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They might come around this corner here, getting real greedy, but then you and Cash should kill them. Yeah, I don't think that any of that was good play by your teammates, but sometimes you're gonna get fucked a little bit, and you give that Baron up. So
Yeah.
not a lot you could have done.
Thresh and Yasuo have given up at this point. They're just like
Yeah, they're just whatever. They're raging at each other. They're flaming. Sometimes that happens. So this game is looking a little bit lost. What I like to do is I think the number one problem that players have, and this is truly number one, like the absolute biggest problem people have, is they forget that the best play in the game, and the best play in the game is really simple. It's just it's /mute all. It's the best play in the whole game.
Yeah.
You win the whole game just off this one play sometimes. Where you just
Do you actually recommend doing that, like communicating only by pings and just muting everybody if that helps you, or
if you're a player that tilts or you find yourself getting emotionally invested in your games, then absolutely.
okay.
Now, I know there are a ton of players. Okay, here's a perfect I'm spacing out on the vocabulary at the moment. A perfect example, a personal experience where this has just helped a player go super far. One player I was working with, his name was, well, let's just call him Nick, right? I was playing with Nick, and Nick was, like a Diamond 3 player. He really wanted to become better, but he was just a rager, man. He was permabanned on an account. He'd been banned 3 times on his second account, and he was like, Wes, what do I do? I don't know what to do. I'm so frustrated. I don't know. I get so mad at my teammates. I don't know what to do. And then I'd tell him, but he wouldn't listen. Like, you just need to mute people. And he would mute people, and he'd be like, "This is great," and then he'd forget the next day, and then he would go about his time, raging.
Yeah.
And then he got chat restricted when that happened, and he went straight to master, literally straight to master, while he was chat restricted. He
Yeah.
he told me once, in confidence, he was like, "That chat restriction was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, because I had to learn how to communicate with pings and not have to, I didn't have to let my, passive aggression out. Like, I could just sit there and I could just listen to music and I would not worry about it. And it helps some people. It really does. So
Mhm.
I wouldn't put that bad or that negative connotation on it right off the bat. I think I would really consider both sides of it.
All right.
If you're a player that gets emotionally invested, which I mean, I'm not sure. I haven't. It's not like I've seen multiple of your games. But if you feel that way, muting all is definitely the way to go. I personally mute all. Um, as a high level analyst, I get very. I see the right play a lot of the time, whether or not I can personally execute it.
Mhm.
Um, and it frustrates me personally. So I would just rather not have to deal with. I don't want to communicate that idea. It would take me way too much typing, and it ends up distracting me from the game entirely. I have to remind myself sometimes that solo queue isn't a learning experience for everybody. It's just for me, right?
Yeah.
So it helps. I think it can help anybody if they're feeling that way. Wow,
All
this guy should be dead. I would have just.
right. You turned off screen share, by the way.
Ooh, it must have turned off by itself. Actually, I didn't turn it off. Here, try one more time. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. How long has it been turned off?
Like right after you stopped the video, as you started explaining all that, like the mute all.
Oh, okay. I wrote it out in Paint and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I got that, but it was like just after that.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anyway, so is Red Buff gonna kill him? No. Um, I think this kill is really important, but
Yeah.
this game's kind of far. I think right here, you walk into this bush, and I think just hitting the R button on Zed's the answer, like instantly. Um, if he ults out of it, so be it. But if he doesn't ult out of it, you kill him, right? I mean, you kill him instantly.
Yeah.
Or as soon as you see him, I Q him, or no charge Q him or RM, just whatever you can. Um, but this was really close. I think you still had flash Q there. You probably could have gotten him if you
Yeah.
burn a little bit, but you were. I think you're a little bit tilted at this point, especially when it's far into the game. I know that feeling all too well. That
Yeah. And
hopelessness
then like I
exists.
didn't think he would stand there. Like I didn't think to chase him because he's dead, but he backed in like an obvious place. Where if
Hmm.
I probably hadn't been typing, I probably could have flash queued him or something.
Yeah, yeah, something. It's okay. That happens.
And then I don't know. I felt like there was multiple times where like I could have helped Yasuo or Lucian. Like Lucian eat away from me there, so I couldn't like get onto set as quickly.
Yeah.
So I had to like queue in range to ult them. So I don't know. I was just like really fed up with that. But
No, yeah. Negative attitudes take their toll on everybody. It's a
yeah,
totally natural reaction. But yep, you can't win them all, especially ones with
yeah,
strongly negative people. But what you can do is learn from the mistakes that were made in the game. You can look back at these games and say, I still made mistakes. Maybe you couldn't have won the game, but there were better. There were better plays. There were better options. There were better item paths. There were things that you could have done to improve your win percentage
yep,
of this game.
yeah. This piece of shit's finally over. So
Yeah.
at least I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's over. Okay. So, any questions before we finish up a little bit here?
Um, no, there's like nothing. I think you pretty much covered everything. I could have ganked more. Could have made better plays. I could have built better.
Yeah,
Um,
it's more.
and not giving as much respect to people as I have been.
Yeah, I think the respect thing is probably the biggest deal that's affecting your win. I think that'll show you the biggest jump in win percentage is the respecting people while you're ahead. When you're ahead, you want to take all the liberties that being ahead gives you. Okay,
All right.
you wanna take that extra jungle camp. You want to take that from them because that's yours now. You earned that by getting your 2 kills. That's part of it.
All right.
So that take that blue buff. Remember that a lot of teams or a lot of solo queue players don't time that first blue buff or that first red buff, whatever they started. Like
Mhm.
wherever they started, that's gonna spawn like between 8 minutes and 9 minutes, roughly. 8.5, 8:40, roughly around there. Keep track of when you kill it, and then check for what champion they are and how you think they do it.
All right.
That's a really important timer, and that first buff can put you really far ahead. If you take that buff from them, um, it can be not only a gameplay advantage, but a morale advantage to put the
Mhm.
enemy jungler down. Because how do you know how it feels to walk to your first buff when it respawns, your red when it respawns, you're 2 levels down, you just got your jungle item, you're like, at least I can get red and get back into the game. And you walk into it, and it's just gone, and all there is one little minion. And it's
Yep.
the worst feeling in the whole world. And you just feel outplayed. Even though it was such a small play, you feel outplayed after.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Um, I think that pretty much wraps it up for the analysis of this game.
All right.
I'm gonna turn off the recording here, and then if you wanted to talk a little bit after, we can totally do that. Okay.
All right.